Hey guys, the biggest update in history for Java and console aspect is out now. You can go download it at the links in the description. Please go check it out, enjoy the update, tell me what you like the most about it in the comments. But in today's video, we will cover some of the best features from the update. You may have seen me talk about some of these already in my previous two videos I made about this update, because there was a beta released and I fixed a lot of bugs that we'll go through later after the feature showcase. If you want to read all the changes in the update, please go to this custom settings tab for the aspects pack. Just go into settings, scroll all the way down and hit Java aspects or console aspects right at the bottom, and you'll be able to read the entire changelog of the update in-game, along with the credits of all the contributors who have helped me put it together. Let's get right into the features. I made a note of this in the beta release video, but the beta I made did not have any support for 1.21 features. So the new copper blocks, the new tuff blocks, and that sort of thing. Absolutely zero support. But between the beta and now, I have made all these blocks functional. So the copper bulbs now have proper shading when they're lit, just like all other light blocks. They look significantly nicer. Every single block has its own sounds, which match Java Edition, and the walls now have their own icons that look like Java Edition in the inventory. Continuing on, the crafter from 1.21 has also received a lot of love because now the slots are no longer ugly. On Bedrock, they have very green outlines when you highlight them, but with Java aspects or console aspects enabled, you will no longer see those green highlighted slots. And by the way, even though we're starting with Java aspects today, most of these features I go through do apply to console aspects. The wall icons don't, but the shading on the bulbs does, the sounds do, these crafter changes do. I'm not going to mention it for every feature, but if it makes sense in console aspects, it's going to be in console aspects too. Between the previous aspects update and this current one, Minecraft added recipe unlocking. So now the recipe unlocks use the Java Edition colors and textures, and in general, look very different than the other notifications that you get while playing the game. This update also introduces a whole bunch of features from the fixed vanilla resource pack, which is created by LateLag. It is also linked in the description. There are so many features that we can't go over because the amount of things LateLag gave me to work with is just too high, so instead we're only going to cover the most interesting one to me, which is all these items you can see the armor stands holding. When you hold them in your hands, they now actually look like Java Edition when you attack, when you draw them, when you use the bow, when you use the trident, when you hold the spyglass, and even if you use commands to give yourself the item in the offhand, it will still look correct. This is a brilliant system that LateLag created, and if you're a resource pack maker, I would highly suggest you go check out how it works in Java aspects now, because it is a big improvement. The main difference is, if you change the hand position in first person, you no longer have to change every single animation of these items to work with it. Makes it much easier to actually do first person animations. Also, shields in this update will now move based on where the player is facing. This is a change from the latest Java Edition snapshots that hasn't made it into the full release yet, but it will soon. So when you block in Java aspects, it now moves the shield to where you're actually looking. For this next feature, we'll have to head into a dark room in here so that we can really show you every bit of how it works. For starters, the Endermen now have much paler eyes than normal. As you can see, the Bedrock eyes are very purple, but the eyes in Java and console aspects are now almost white, but just not quite. Also, experience orbs now respect the light level of the room they're in. So if the room is dark, you'll see darker experience orbs. If the room is light, the experience orbs look much brighter. Moving on, a lot of particle changes have also been added in this update. These particles were contributed by Rainvey, who is the creator of Multipixel, which is a pack that has full compatibility with Java and console aspects. Now these particles are primarily focused on smoke and flames from torches, furnaces, fires, campfires, all those types of blocks, because as you will notice, there are way more torch particles now. The torches actually consistently stay on fire, when previously they would only release flame particles every once in a while. Campfire particles also fade into nothing as they rise, just like Java Edition. A lot of new blocks have also received some love, like the crafter over here, which I completely skipped the setup on. We can now craft, and you will see the particles match Java Edition. That was also contributed by Rainvey. The new decorated pots that you can put items in, they have some particles, and guess what? Rainvey fixed them too. So lots of particle fixes in this update, way more than I can cover in a short little video, and they all match Java Edition. Moving on to the sounds, there are a lot of new sound changes in this update, way more than I can talk about, so let's go over the coolest ones. A lot of block sounds are changing in this update. Nether hanging signs, decorated pot smashing, sponges and wet sponges, and rooted dirt. Recently, Java Edition also switched around the sounds of a bunch of classic blocks, like repeaters and comparators actually sound like stone now. Tripwire hooks sound like wood, same as jukeboxes, and levers sound like stone. All of these changes are now reflected in Java aspects. That is all for the Java aspects section of the video, but in the console aspects section, which is coming up, most of those changes also apply to Java aspects. So don't worry. Let's hit the magic button to bring us to console land, and here we are. The first thing that you'll notice is everything looks way brighter than it just did with Java aspects, and that is very intentional. Console aspects now has color grading. This is actually a feature from the previous update, but I didn't show it off in a full release video until now. And this color grading applies across the entire game, in menus, underground, in the nether, anywhere you are, everything is just a little bit brighter, and it brings that console flavor right back as if you never left. Something else that brings a lot of console flavor that's pretty subtle is the hotbar, or specifically item names above the hotbar, because let's zoom in down there and you can now see that the shadows on these item names are only half a pixel wide instead of a full pixel. Since we're on a classic streak here, let's mention the third classic mob to be added to console aspects, the bat. In the newest Minecraft beta, the bat is getting a brand new look, but of course, Legacy Console Edition will never be updated again, so the bats should still use their old look. This is just like how the zombie pigman still exists in console aspects, and the Vex still exists in console aspects. Of course, if you use updated textures, these mobs will go back to their current, updated selves. Here's a tiny feature. Literally, turtle egg icons in your hotbar and inventory are now absolutely puny, because who needs big icons when Console Edition says this tiny little one will do? If we go into spectator mode and third person, you'll notice that your head is actually completely solid. This is because, on Legacy Console Edition, in the tumble minigame, you could be a spectator, and your spectator would just be a player head. You could also choose like a bat or a parrot, but I'm not going to turn you into a bat or a parrot for console aspects, so the head is what I went with, and now it's solid instead of semi-transparent, just like tumble. Here's some more fun sound stuff that we didn't mention in the Java aspects portion of the video, but it also applies there. If we strip wood in console aspects, it's completely silent because Console Edition doesn't have any wood stripping sounds. If we try to fix up this really badly made path here, you actually get nice path flattening sounds instead of grass breaking sounds. Similarly, let's make a farm. There we go. Hoeing sounds are here too. So lots more block interaction sounds now match Legacy Console Edition. Villagers are massively different across the 3 editions for some reason, because they all have just slightly different rules. On Console Edition, for example, the trade badges start at iron instead of stone. On the other versions, they start at stone, then go to iron once you trade with them, but here they start at iron. Also, nitwits and babies will show their villager trade badges, which they don't do on Bedrock or Java Edition. One of my favorite things about console aspects is that it keeps the old potion colors intact. Even if the potions don't look enchanted anymore, they still have their old looks. So blue is not water, it's water breathing. And in this latest update, when you actually drink water breathing potions, you get the correct colored particles. And this is true for every single potion. In the previous version of console aspects, the particles would use their new color even though the texture of the potion was using the old color, so there would be a complete mismatch and it wouldn't look good. But now, all of that is fixed. This even applies for tipped arrows, so if somebody's shooting you with a leaping arrow, it'll be bright green instead of yellow. We're coming close to the end of our features here, so we're going to get to weird technical stuff. Have you ever noticed, on Console Edition, that the breaking particles for blocks are actually dependent on what way the block is facing? If a log is vertical, it will use the inside of the log texture. If a log is sideways, it will use the side of the log texture, and this is now reflected in console aspects. Breaking particles are different depending on the orientation of logs. And finally, we've got a double whammy of features here. We've got evokers, villagers, and iron golems. I already went over the villager changes, so let's spawn in a few so that these iron golems can have something to defend. Then, let's spawn some evokers, because evoker fangs on Legacy Console Edition are absolutely massive. They're summoning Vex right now, but if one of these guys, there we go, look at those fangs. They are taller than an Enderman for some crazy reason. Now, if we spawn an Iron Golem to fight back against these guys, we'll notice that Iron Golem animations have also been fixed in this update to match Console and Java Edition. Iron Golems are now slower, more intimidating, and don't look like they're hustling through a Walmart on Black Friday anymore. Even though we've reached the end of our feature showcase, we still have a lot of bug fixes to go over in this update, so let's start on that. First off, if you love capes like me, and you were trying to use a cape with a custom skin on the beta versions of aspects that I released, there would be this horrible bug on mobile devices where in first person, a lot of items were just completely off screen. They were held about 10 blocks too high so you could see the very bottom of a shield when you were blocking. This really annoying bug has been fixed, and fixing it also means that the sneaking bug where your legs would detach has also been fixed. This bug is now limited to skins that have unique heights and are also in classic skin packs. So that's very few skins. Like, one of the few skins I own that actually has that issue is Yoda from the Star Wars skin pack, because he's so small. In console aspects, grass is no longer way paler than it's supposed to be. Here's a fun one. In the last update I had to disable glass pane icons because, well, the developers were planning to change all of their IDs, which is ultimately a good thing, but it did mean I had to disable them for that update. Nether fog colors are now the correct brightness in Java and console aspects. Previously, they were just a little bit too bright. If you're blocking with an offhand shield, the shield is no longer upside down. The wonderful swamp music by Lena Rain can now actually play in-game. The toast notification sound that plays when you copy coordinates or get a notification from purchasing something in the marketplace is now accurate for a 3-second display time. Hanging sign breaking particles now use the stripped wood particles instead of planks particles like Java Edition. The stone cutter now renders items correctly in compatibility mode. The blue wither shield is now correctly removed from the model. Flaming projectiles no longer turn orange. And all entities now have the correct hurt overlay color. Of course, no matter how much I tell you about the update, I cannot describe every ounce of effort that went into it. So please go download this latest update, the biggest update in Aspect history for Java and console aspects. Try it out. Let me know if you do enjoy it. If you do find any bugs, please feel free to report them to me, but this update should be pretty bug-free because most of the major issues were fixed during the beta period, which is great. It works perfectly. So, enjoy a fully updated to 1.20 console and Java aspects, and for now, I can finally take a break.